playoffs are coming to Dallas, Texas. The 4 best teams in the Big Three battle it out for a spot in the championship. The action starts with the legendary Big Three Celebrity Game. 3 games of the most physical, competitive, and non-stop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET.
Yay!
Good afternoon, T-Dot. Still wrapping up a couple of accidents out here. Heavier traffic volume just in the last few minutes. Vietnam vets there going eastbound as you pass Conference Drive. All that traffic headed out towards Hendersonville. Still heavy over here now in both directions. 40 east and west at Fessler's. Watch for a little bit of sneaky radar down I-40 this afternoon throughout Wilson County. Could see a lot of radar the next couple of weeks with the fair going on out there starting tomorrow. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken, they're going to be on location. Be sure to stop by and see them at the Wilson County Fair. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
We do it your way at Sir Pizza.
Order a royal feast or create your own pizza online now at sirpizzatn.com. Carry out and delivery for dinner tonight at sirpizzatn.com.
Rutherford weather.
A heat advisory continues. Slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, otherwise partly cloudy skies. Lows level off around 74. I'm WGNS meteorologist Derek Height. Right now, it's 90 degrees.
This is Pastor Nikki Ajapong, lead pastor of Holy Hill Chapel in Murfreesboro.
Here are sermons on WGNS every Sunday night at 7:30.
Extending the love of God.
Reviving the community at holyhillchapeltn.org.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com.
From the first pitch to the final buzzer, this is where the conversation starts. All sports talk on WGNS and Big G TV, covering the Preps, MTSU, news from Tennessee, and nationwide. Now, here's All Sports Talk on the Good Neighbor Network.
And welcome back inside the WGNS studios here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And welcome back to All Sports Talk. I am your host, Dylan Simmons, on this hot and humid Wednesday evening in the Mid-State, but we're glad to be back here with our radio show, and I am pleased to be joined by a special guest who's, this isn't his first radio or rodeo on the show. He's been on here a few times and usually does pretty well for us. Jacob Burgess joins us here in the studio. Jacob, how's it going?
Well, I mean, it is hot outside, but luckily we shoot this indoors.
We do. If we shot this outside, I think I'd pass out within about 15 minutes or so. It's like 95 out there, and like I told the listeners last week after returning from Alaska, that's been a big adjustment. But, just start things off, how's your summer been, man?
Well, it's going really good. I mean, gearing up for the NCAA season starting actually tomorrow. I got a new water bottle, Nalgene Narrow Mouth. They're really great. I like that. Really not new. It's my sister's. I took it. But, I like it. Big fan of it.
You just took it from your sister, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, I guess as long as it's effective, then that's all that matters. And, you're not only the MTN sports director, you're also, let me make sure I get this right, MTSU Sideline Sports co-editor, correct?
Co-sports editor.
Co-sports editor. Okay, I knew it was something along those lines. So we'll get more into that later, but Jacob, obviously, a man of many responsibilities and a man of many talents, as we've said before. Now, yesterday was a big day for MTSU athletics, and MTSU football media days took place yesterday over at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. You were there, got to see things up close and personal. And to start things off with today's show, I want to ask, what's the vibe around MTSU football right now, and what kind of approach do you think the Blue Raiders have had so far this offseason from what you've gathered?
The team seems excited, right? Obviously, they have a new-ish quarterback in Roman Gagliano. Played the final 3 games of last year because of injury to the starter. And now it's been kind of his ship the entire offseason. They've known it going into it. He's taken every first-team rep. And so now he will try and get an opportunity to lead a team for a full season and see what he can do there.
Yeah, that's a big position for Roman to be in because he sat behind Nick, I think, for 2 years?
2 years, yeah. So he's going into a redshirt sophomore year. 3 starts, well, no. 3 starts under his belt so far, and will go this entire year as long as, no injuries or anything like that.
Yeah, and Brett and I talked about this as well a lot last year on All Sports Talk about the elements that he added to that offense, his versatility, his ability to get going on the ground and get throwing through the air. I think building his confidence is going to be a huge thing in this new year, and he's got no shortage of it, but becoming more comfortable in the pocket, being able to deliver those consistent throws. I think we both agree if he's able to get all of that under control, then he's going to be a very dangerous quarterback in ZUSA.
He definitely could be. It really just depends on, one, his line holding up. I mean, MTSU went out and they honestly spent a lot of money to upgrade the offensive line in the coaching department and on the actual field. And so bringing in Chris Brown there to try and bolster that line, and he had them together yesterday when we were out there. He was loud. You could tell he was out there. His players could definitely hear him. And their new offensive coordinator, Anthony Scofo, mentioned he's one of the first people out there every day. You can hear him.
Yeah.
When you get to the facility, whether he's indoor or outdoors, he is a loud person. He is going to have the line together, hopefully give Roman some more time in the pocket, or help set up the run game more.
Hey, sometimes you got to be loud and proud to get players' attentions, and those guys, there's some big dudes. They could probably bench press a big truck, so I'd say they're going to be guys to watch out for this season. Now, we're coming into year number 3 of Derek Mason at the helm of the Blue Raiders. What do you think he, as a coach, may be looking to prove in 2026?
That they can win football games consistently. I mean, 3-9 the past 2 seasons. You've had rough week ones. I think that is obviously not a good look when you're playing an FCS opponent and you either have a loss or it's a really close game. And so not just competing in the conference, but, picking up, if you think about it, 2 to 3 non-con games, because obviously MTSU is one of those teams that goes to pay-to-play game where, they do make some money. And it's against an Ole Miss or Wisconsin. This year it's going to be against Kansas. And so you're looking to pick up those 3 other non-conference games for sure, and then ride that in the conference and try and make a run at a postseason.
And that first game is going to be against Murray State on September the 5th. That'll be an interesting test for MTSU to start the season with. But I think I have to agree, Derek is looking to kind of get some consistent wins under his mark this year and get this team back into bowl contention and maybe into conference championship contention as well. Certainly seems like they have the talent to do that, but it'll be about putting those pieces together. We'll get more into that in just a sec. Obviously, MTSU lost some big leadership this past season with guys like Nick Fadiato, Parker Hughes, among many others who aren't a part of the program anymore due to graduating. It's always a next man up mentality in the game of football. And how do you think some of the guys who are being put into these new positions are handling that so far from what you've seen?
I think the first one you look at is Roman. Obviously, he does have that level of confidence that you want in a quarterback. And it was mentioned the other day in the interview segment of Media Day that, he's young. He spent a whole year building that confidence at the college level while not having to, he wasn't getting hit every day. He wasn't having to scramble every single play because it's practice,
Right.
It's not live for the quarterback on getting hit and things like that. And so he hasn't taken a lot of big hits. Right, that's something that Nick in his position, he was there for so long as a starting quarterback. We saw Nick take some big hits, and obviously if you take enough of them, that can start to affect your confidence and things. Roman hasn't had that, so he still has that kind of air it out mentality to where he can stand there for as long as he wants and find the right pass or hand it off or go when he wants. And so keeping that confidence as long as possible and helping kind of spread it to the other members of the team is going to be big. And then defensively, obviously, you lose Parker Hughes, who 100 tackles last year.
Yeah.
Led the team triple digits. And so replacing that by committee is something defensive coordinator Brian Stewart mentioned yesterday.
And I think that they'll be able to do that. It seems like there's always a defensive standout or somebody who's able to be put into that position and thrive. So you take guys out to deep water, and usually you'll find that guy who's able to succeed, and I'm very interested to see who that guy or multiple guys could be this year for MTSU. Speaking of the new stars of this football team, we talked about some of the standouts that MTSU fans may want to keep an eye on in 2026-27. How do you think those guys, if they perform at their best, how can they help MTSU, and what could be the ceiling possibly of this team going into this new year?
I think if a realistic one is a bowl game.
Yeah.
Right? You look at their schedule, Murray State should be an easy win. You get into some of those other non-cons. Kansas is going to be tough, but even I think, Kansas isn't the best team in their conference, and so that's something to where they could eke out a Kansas win.
Very well could happen, yeah.
Especially early on in the season. Marshall is going to be a tough game. Nevada's a beatable team. They did it last year, came from behind to do it on the road. Now they get to play them in Murfreesboro. And then you have Jacksonville State before you play Kansas, so you have that one-off conference game.
Yeah.
And then Delaware's going to be a tough team to beat. The quarterback, Danucci over there, is going to he's going to have a high ceiling this year. But then you keep going down, and there are very winnable games on the schedule.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of winnable games on the schedule, and we'll get more into that later on as well. But this schedule is certainly, I think, favorable at times for MTSU. At other times, there are going to be some tough tests, certainly, to keep an eye on. You talked about that Kansas game, and one thing to note for us MTSU fans out there, they have defeated Power 4 teams on the road before. Most recently, of course, the Miami Hurricanes in Mario Cristobal's first season, and we've seen what Miami's become since then. So MTSU, if they could get that win against Kansas, certainly would set them off on the right path. You also talked about that Jacksonville State game early. Of course, Jack State has contended for the Conference USA Championship multiple times over the past couple years, and if MTSU could get a win over them and start off maybe 3 or 4-0, you're talking about a team that's a legit threat in Conference USA. So let's say hypothetically a lot of things do go right for them early. What do you think it's going to take from this roster and this team to be able to contend for a Conference USA Championship and bring the first one back to Murfreesboro?
Well, they mentioned it yesterday, playing to their strengths. And so Anthony Scoffo at Southeastern Louisiana was known for running the ball.
Yeah.
He did it a lot. He did it 57% of the time, actually. Now, that's a much more even number than MTSU. MTSU passed the ball 61% of the time last year, ran it 39%. And so finding out what works for them, because obviously his offense has changed. He has new players. It's his system, but see where the players fit into it. Because we know Roman can throw the ball, and so if that's what's best for this team, then play into that strength.
Yeah, and I think establishing that run-pass balance is going to be huge for this offense early on. I think at times MTSU in the past has struggled to find that in certain ways. So if they can establish that well, especially early on in the season, with a good running attack and, of course, the always dangerous arm that Roman Gagliano has at his disposal, could be a really fun team and a really fun offense. We saw glimpses of that towards the end of last year. They won 2 of their final 3 games and looked pretty good offensively. So I think if they're able to take that momentum and carry it over into the new year, sky could be the limit for this MTSU team.
I really do, and even in that third game that they lost against WKU in the final 3, I mean, that was still a back-and-forth gunslinger battle there. I mean, both teams, I want to say, got above 30 points.
I think so, yeah.
And so that was a game where, it was who was going to score last, really. And WKU was able to pull out there at the end against a young quarterback in Roman. And so now he has some more experience, see what he can do going into a full year.
Now, the biggest thing for MTSU is you don't want to get into too many of those shootouts. We'll see if the Blue Raiders are able to manage that. As far as statements that the players and coaches made yesterday in media days, what stuck out to you, and what are some statements that you think MTSU fans may want to keep an extra eye on as we get ready to enter this new season?
Well, so Mason didn't speak yesterday, but at one of the Blue Raider Blitz events he did.
Yes.
And so we talked to him then, and we were talking to him about the new offensive coordinator, and he goes, he's bratty, he's rambunctious. The dude's got a slick personality. He'll fight you every day, but I like that because this team sort of follows it. And so I think offensively, it's seeing them go for the big shots. they're gonna make some calls where they got to pick up the first down. They have yards to gain, and they're gonna call something, and it might seem a little crazy, but this is the type of team that they believe in that, and so they see if they can actually pull it off when they come up with that big play time.
That's a classic Derek Mason quote right there. He's got some of the best sound bites of any college football coach you'll run into. So I think it's fair to say that this MTSU offense may have a certain aggressiveness about them this season, it sounds like.
Yeah, and finding out what they want to do when the time comes, whether it's pass the ball, whether it's run the ball. I think with the offensive line they now have, they have a lot more options when it comes to that.
Any other quotes that the players possibly had about this new season?
Let me think. I want to say it was. So I did mention earlier Anthony Scofo saying it. It was actually Roman Gagliano saying it about the new O-line coach Chris Brown.
Yeah,
and obviously he's a big O-line fan, especially when they were able to hold the line.
Any quarterback is. Yeah,
and so he is one where he's obviously excited about this new O-line, but also just what they're putting together right now on the offensive side.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch the offensive side, the defensive side as well. I really am hoping to see this MTSU team round into form and be that conference championship contending program that we all know they can be. Sometimes it takes a couple of years to get the true discipline and true outlook on a team that a new coach wants, and I'm curious to see. Year 3 has obviously worked out for a lot of coaches in the past, and perhaps Derek Mason can help translate that to MTSU in year 3, and we're able to see what a true Derek Mason MTSU really looks like, because he's got some of his own recruits in there now, kind of has his own discipline on the team, I think, instilled. So I think that's the thing I'm most excited to see. One last thing, I heard that MTSU's getting maybe some new turf, possibly by chance. Have you heard anything about that?
I know they got new turf last year.
They got new turf last year. I did hear about that. I might have to confirm with another person about it. I heard that from somewhere, but I wanted to.
I know they got new turf last year. It's made out of walnuts, I'm pretty sure. It's a lot cooler than the normal turf you have at your local high school.
Yes.
When I'm down there shooting video or whatnot, I do like it a lot. You can tell the difference. It's nice. Now I don't know how long the walnut turf holds up. I don't know what its lifespan is.
Yeah.
But it's probably less than the rubber pellets.
Well, I guess we're going to find out more about that turf as time goes on. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on All Sports Talk. When we come back, Jake will have the deets on MTSU soccer and what they're looking to do in 2026. We've got all that and more coming up in just a sec right here on All Sports Talk.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Auctions are easy, fast, and profitable.
You have a staff that comes to your home. They walk you through it. It's been my experience. What I thought I should get for my home, I got much more for it.
Call Parks Auction and Realty or visit parksauction.com.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Clark's Auction Company, committed to auction excellence.
Sold it to you, 27.5.
In Rutherford County, you know how much it means to have neighbors you can count on. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Wommel, here to help life go right when you combine home and auto insurance. Call me today at 615-890-0850 and let me save you money and time. Your home, your auto, together they're where life happens. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Wommel. It's smart to protect them together to help life go right. Give me a call at 615-890-0850 and let me help you save by combining your home and auto.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit choosechip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home has served Murfreesboro families with compassion and care since 1880. As a family-owned funeral home, we're committed to honoring every life with dignity through traditional services, cremation options, and pre-planning that gives you peace of mind. For over 140 years, we've been here when it matters most. Visit JenningsandAyers.com. Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home, honoring life and comforting families since 1880.
This is a paid legal ad.
I help people at the most difficult times in their lives try to enforce their legal rights. Practiced law in Nashville for over 30 years. Well, we start with the facts. We need to understand what happened. And if the claim appears to have merit, then we're going to say, yes, we can help. I would encourage anybody who has been injured and they believe it's somebody else's fault to reach out to us. We're happy to give answers. Call the law offices of John Day for your free consultation.
First Shot transforms Rutherford County youth. Coach Andy Herzer leads dynamic basketball camps and clinics, building skills and character since 2003. Kids dive into exciting STEM projects, sparking creativity through hands-on coding, art, and dance. They elevate their mind, spirit, and body in summer and winter programs. Visit FirstShotTN.org today to learn more. First Shot, where kids gain, elevate, and develop.
Good afternoon, T-Dot. Still wrapping up a couple of accidents out here. Heavier traffic line just in the last few minutes. Vietnam vets there going eastbound as you pass Conference Drive. All that traffic headed out towards Hendersonville. Still heavy over here now in both directions. 40 east and west at Festlers. Watch for a little bit of sneaky radar down I-40 this afternoon throughout Wilson County. Could see a lot of radar the next couple of weeks with the fair going on out there starting tomorrow. Hey, Princess Hot Chicken, they're going to be on location. Be sure to stop by and see them at the Wilson County Fair. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
Welcome back. It's all sports talk. It's a Wednesday, and it's always a good time when those two things are combined. Dylan Simmons alongside Jacob Burgess here on this Wednesday evening. Our producer Jackson is in the studio as well. And Jacob, it's a new semester for some of the MTSU students coming up in, about a week and a half or so?
I think so. I'm going into my last semester, so I don't really know.
Yeah, well, I guess
classes start the last week of August. I know that.
I think it's August 24th. That they
Sounds
talk
about right.
They talk about senioritis that hits you sometimes as you get
Oh, yeah.
older.
I got it.
You think you got some senioritis?
Well, I'm only in 3 classes this upcoming semester, and so the schedule is lighter than it has been. I mean, the past 2 or 3 semesters, I've been in 18 hours every semester, and so to go from that to 10 is a lot less, and so it's gonna hit.
You got a lab this semester?
No, I have an internship.
Oh, okay, that's where that extra one
yep.
comes in. Okay,
that's where the extra credit hour comes in. But yeah, it's gonna hit like a Mack truck.
So December 2026, Jacob will be graduating. Make sure you turn out to Murphy Center to see that happen. Speaking of the new semester and new things on the horizon, we've got a new season of MTSU soccer that starts tomorrow night. They're taking on Troy in their first regular season match of the season. And looking at 2026, MTSU soccer coming off one of their most successful seasons in years last year, 11-6-3, a CUSA tournament berth. Before we start talking about what this season has in store, what do you think last year demonstrated for this team and for Aston Roden?
Well, we've seen, especially while the team's been in CUSA, they've had more ups and downs. And so this was just another team that was able to go pretty far. They made the semifinal before losing right before the championship. And so this was a team where they had a lot of young players at one point, finally able to put it all together with a mixture of young and new, but you saw kids who went through the system 4 or 5 years at this point and were able to really capitalize last semester. Not last semester, but last year.
Yeah, I think that it really came together for MTSU in a big way. Good combination of veteran talent as well as younger talent that really stood out on the soccer pitch, and hopefully we'll see more of that this season. But one thing I have heard consistently about the team this year is that they're going to be on the younger side, and obviously with a young team comes a different vibe, maybe perhaps different kinds of play styles, different expectations. What kind of dynamic could the youth of this team create going into 2026?
Well, so they do have a lot of it. They have 12 freshmen. They have 10 sophomores, 9 of which are returners, so they only have 1 transfer.
Yeah.
Taylor Dotson. And in their last few Instagram posts, she has been in a leg brace and on crutches, and so don't know how much impact she's going to have this season. But you're really going to need those sophomores, I think, to step up, because I went back and looked through it. One of the last times where they went from such an older team to a younger team in just a one-off season was 2021 to 22.
Right.
And so 2021 was another year where they had a really good run, were a double-digit win team, and then 22 was the worst year that they've had in a long time. Only won 2 games, didn't win a conference game. And so you need these kids, these sophomores mainly, who have been in the system for a year, to make a really big jump to where you can try and keep your team at the level it was with such a senior team. I mean, they lost 4, 5, 6, 7. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They lost 7 starters.
Yeah.
And then one of the first people off of the bench. And so that's 8 players who made key contributes last year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you look at the team, though, and they're bringing back a lot of people. I mean, Scotty Newton was a freshman last year, played on the back line, led the team in minutes. She's going to be back there again. She's going to be a key aspect to that back line. I think the biggest return is Megan Carroll and Hannah Murphy in the midfield. And so Megan Carroll, a graduate student who's coming back for her 5th year because she had to take a red shirt earlier in her career. Hannah Murphy going into her senior year, they're going to be crucial pieces right there. Along with, you're bringing back some of the younger kids that did a really good job. Maya Stingham is a name that comes off top of my head. Allie Craig and Lila Cornell are also, they're going to be sophomores now. Allie and Lila didn't play in the blue and white game, and so see what stage they're at in their return, because they could have a really big impact on this team.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how players will step up for this team going into the new year and who are going to be some of those key pieces, as there were some key pieces last year. Now, speaking on Coach Roden, obviously this is a very special year for him as well, considering all the things he's done at MTSU, and now in his 25th season at the helm of this MTSU soccer team, clearly a significant mark. Talking to him and kind of getting to know him over the past few years, what do you think this 25th season means to him?
It is no more than any other season. I went and talked to him about it for a story that I did with Sidelines, and he is worried about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What happened yesterday? How is that? What positives can you take into the today? And then how can you carry that into tomorrow and keep stacking those positives? And then on the other end, like, what didn't go well? How do we fix it today so we can take it into tomorrow? That is all. I asked him about it, and he summed up to say, if you think too much in the past, then you're likely going to focus on the negative moments, so there's no reason to do that. And he can't tell the future, so there's no reason to think too far into the future anyways, because he doesn't know. Nobody does. And so he tries to stay within kind of that 3 to 4 day time span about what he is thinking about.
And as a coach, I think sometimes that's a good mindset to have, because you got to be able to live in the moment and appreciate what you have at that point in time, or else you may think too far ahead about, the next year, 2 or 3 years down the line, and all of a sudden you're not putting in your full effort into this year's team. And I think Coach Roden's always done a good job at that. So I appreciate hearing just how invested he is into this year's team, and not. Obviously, he, I'm sure, appreciates it being 25 years at MTSU, but he's focusing on making sure this team is successful in 2026, which I love to hear. Now, speaking on his staff, they've obviously made some great additions in recent years, and I think few have been bigger than associate head coach Hannah Hafes. What she's done for this MTSU soccer team has been tremendous, and I think she's really helped to elevate them to a new level in many ways over these past few seasons. What do you think she's meant to this program, and how does she impact MTSU soccer in your eyes?
Well, I mean, she has the playing career to back it up, but she's been consistently around, and so that's something where usually the secondary coach, the assistant coach, or the associate head coach stays around a little bit more. Their third assistant coach, kind of their goalie coach, has switched a lot.
Right.
But having that secondary aspect that has been around year after year and understands the system that they're running and what they need to do to improve it, and can bring some fresh ideas to it. And just another person who understands the process that they're trying to run and can consistently do it with Roden, regardless of what happens, really. And then she just got her latest coaching license. I want to say it's a USA B level license now, possibly. I want to say that was right.
Yeah.
I saw her post about it on Instagram a couple weeks back. But that's just another thing she's doing to try and take her coaching level to the next aspect.
Always grinding and always working is this MTSU soccer staff. Now, one of the biggest things, and we've already mentioned some of the younger players stepping up and being key pieces going into this season, but there are some key returners as well for this MTSU soccer squad, and a few veterans to help guide the ship for MTSU women's soccer in 2026. Who are some of those key players that we'll need to watch out for?
Out of the returners that, the more experienced returners, Megan Carroll, Hannah Murphy in the midfield, easily. And then looking at the transfers, they brought in some really exciting pieces that I think you're going to see early on. Bryn Forchek, defender, redshirt senior out of Stetson last year. 14 starts, 15 matches, over 1,000 minutes on their back line. Has some experience against the teams they're playing. Played Troy last year. Played West Georgia. Played FIU, as a Florida school. And so she has a little bit of experience with Conference USA and the teams they're playing. Haley Phillips, on the website, listed as a midfielder. In the blue and white game, listed as a forward. Regardless of where she plays, she's going to have an impact. Another player that at Troy last year, so already kind of a homecoming game for her against her old team. But played and started all 17 games. Played the full 90 10 times out of that. And so she's going to be somewhere that can possibly plug into their third central midfield spot. Or their forward spot now that is open since Emma Pedersen graduated and moved on to Georgia. And so wherever they kind of plug and place her, hopefully see a big impact from her.
Here's an interesting question about the soccer team that I think is always important for any team to consider going into a new year. What are some things that this team is looking to improve or get better on in 2026? Obviously, they were great in a lot of areas last year, but what do you think they're going to be looking to improve on and get to their best possible form into this new year?
They're just going to have to reload. You're bringing in new kids into your system, and so you got to get them up to date as soon as possible so they can start making an impact. And you need the kids who have already been in the system, who didn't get a lot of playing time last year, to step up into those spots and act like nothing happened. Just click right in and go. And so finding out which of the players can do that, the easiest and the soonest to help them win games.
Looking ahead at the schedule, and we'll talk about the Troy matchup here in just a little bit, but there are some very big matchups throughout the season, crucial matchups to keep an eye on. Some of them will be on ESPN Plus, by the way, for those who are interested. As far as the totality of the season, what are some of those matches that really stand out to you that could help to define what this 2026 is for Middle Tennessee?
Well, when you get to the conference point, Missouri State is one of the bigger matchups they have. They don't play FIU this year.
That's big.
Yeah, FIU has been a standout team in the conference for a long time.
Right.
And so you look at a Missouri State game, that's going to be a big matchup. Liberty always fields good teams regardless of what sport it is, really.
Yes.
They're able to field a good team. And then you look outside of conference, their biggest game is Purdue in the non-con, coming to Murfreesboro on September 3rd. That's a midweek game, too. And so that's your first game of the week. They play Lipscomb the Sunday before, but they have 4 days leading up to it to prepare for Purdue. So that's going to be a big one. And then I think the away travel schedule they have after they play Troy, they go on the road for 3 straight games to Southern Indiana, UT Martin, and West Georgia. And so see how this young team can play on the road outside of an environment that MTSU does a decent job at getting people to come to the games and have fans and things like that. And so there is an environment factor for them. See how they play outside of that when they don't have a lot of supporters.
Yeah, that's a great point because going on the road, especially for a young team, is an entirely different thing to handle. And it's going to be fun to see how they respond to that challenge. If they're able to make it through pretty well unscathed, could be a really fun team to watch. So that will certainly be a big test for this MTSU soccer squad. And, of course, this season starts really in mid-August and goes all the way towards the end of October, early November. And CUSA tournament, correct me if I'm wrong, is the first week of November as well this year, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and it's the top 8 teams that go to the CUSA tournament as well, right? So they'll have a pretty solid shot just like last year, but the biggest thing is they'll want to make sure that they put themselves in the best possible position by winning most of their matches in conference play. We'll see how all of it shakes out. Well, of course, the big one that we've been talking about a lot is the fact that the first regular season match of the season is tomorrow against Troy. Going to be a season opener at Dean A. Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium. Going to be a big early test as well against the Sun Belt opponent that they played last year. In your mind, what are some of the biggest things that MTSU will need to do right in order to take down the Trojans?
I mean, obviously you want to come away with a win, but tomorrow you're wanting them actually test the system against another team. They played Southern Mississippi in an exhibition, but that went to a 30-minute thirds instead of 2 45-minute halves.
Right.
And so it's a little bit of a difference. You're subbing a lot more in these exhibition games also. So you're looking at your starting 11 and the 4 or 5 kids you bring off the bench and see whether or not they can execute the small things right? Because if you execute enough of those, then you can start, taking shots on goal. You'll start creating more opportunities and then possibly going to a win. But you're looking at, can they play the system the way that they want it to be played as a team?
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing for MTSU fans to keep an eye on. I'm always interested in seeing how these season opening tests go because you can really tell a lot about your team, even early on when they have this sort of pressure and this sort of adversity to face early on in the season. And if MTSU soccer can respond in a big way, they'll be a fun team, I'd say, to watch throughout the season. And of course, like you said, the fans usually come out in pretty full force, especially early on in the year. So should be a great crowd. Get on out to Dean A. Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium tomorrow, 7 o'clock, MTSU versus Troy, season opener. This is the regular season opener, not an exhibition match, so a big test for MTSU certainly looms on the horizon. We're going to take another quick time out. When we come back, we'll talk more MTSU athletics news and get you set for the rest of your weekend. And we'll also have the Blue Raider Insider Report coming up on the other side of this break. All that and more coming up on your home for all things mid-state sports. That's All Sports Talk. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Whether you need general vehicle upkeep and maintenance or a complete vehicle overhaul, Hall's Auto Care is here for you. We're locally owned and operated by Greg Hall and have been in business since 2014. You'll get excellent service and trustworthy advice with Hall's Auto Care. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. We're ready to help get you safely on the road. Hall's Auto Care, 907 Ridgely Road, just off Broad Street behind Chili's. Online at hallsautocare.net. Hall's Auto Care.
Jennings and Ayers Funeral Home has served Murfreesboro families with compassion and care since 1880. As a family-owned funeral home, we're committed to honoring every life with dignity through traditional services, cremation options, and pre-planning that gives you peace of mind. For over 140 years, we've been here when it matters most. Visit JenningsandAyers.com. Jennings and Ayers Funeral Home, honoring life and comforting families since 1880.
This is Craig Buckner with Mills Family Pharmacy.
Mills Family Pharmacy on South Church at Veterans Parkway.
You or your loved one are on a complex medication regimen. We can pack that into a multi-dose planner that's labeled correctly, that simplifies your life.
Mills Family Pharmacy, dedicated to providing customers with services that are customized to meet their needs.
Your medications dispensed in a 30-day multi-dose planner, labeled correctly with each individual medication on each packet.
Mills Family Pharmacy, next to Toots on South Church at Veterans Parkway.
WGNS. Our family at Demas's Restaurant are proud to support local emergency responders who put their lives on the line for our community each and every day. This is Peter Demas, and here is this week's Demas's Emergency Responder of the Week.
Paloma Gonzalez-Paul is a paramedic with the Rutherford County Emergency Medical Services. A listener said that she came to her mother's aid when she fell and broke her ribs. She said, "My mom is so appreciative of the kind and helpful way Ms. Paul treated her." Paloma Gonzalez-Paul's supervisor says she looks for ways to help others, works hard, and continuously aspires to learn more. Thank you, Paloma Gonzalez-Paul, with the Rutherford County Emergency Medical Services.
When you see a firefighter, police officer, paramedic, or telecommunicator going the extra mile, let WGNS know, and we at Demas's Restaurant will salute them as the emergency responder of the week.
Are you paying too much for home and auto insurance? Let the experienced professionals at My Team Insurance in Murfreesboro help. With decades of experience, their team provides superior customer service, low rates, and a clear understanding of your coverage needs. Whether it's home, auto, health, business, or life insurance, My Team Insurance makes team insurance. My Team Insurance, proud supporters of the Blue Raiders.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Let's start with Blue Raider football. Again, another hot day for practice, but the Blue Raiders got their work done early this morning. They're working toward their first scrimmage of fall camp, which will be coming up on Saturday. Yesterday, we heard from offensive coordinator Anthony Selfo. Today, let's get an overview from defensive coordinator Brian Stewart.
We started off December 5th saying what we needed to do to be a better defense, right? We needed to be able to have some defensive backs on the corners that could play man and be able to take the vertical game. We talked about having safeties that could fill some gaps inside. We wanted to get bigger in the defensive line so we could hold gaps and replace some of the guys we thought maybe going in the transfer portal. Linebacker-wise, we thought we needed to get two linebackers because we needed two older linebackers to replace Parker Hughes. We thought Parker Hughes did a great job for us. Obviously, he's playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, so that'll give you a little just on how good he was playing for us. And so we thought his production, the way to replace his production is to have two players, and that's what we did. As far as our scheme going forward, we're a 3-4 base team. And we're a 4-2-5 when it comes to 11 personnel, big personnels. We're going to be aggressive and physical defense. We're going to be predicated on stopping the run. So that's the first thing. We're going to build a wall, set edge, track a hip, right? We're going to stop the run. We're working on being situational masters, knowing what to do when it's third down, when to press, when to play off, when to run past the QB, when to squeeze. So that's kind of where we are.
The regular season in soccer around Conference USA gets underway tonight with 5 matches on the schedule. Jacksonville State will play at West Georgia, FIU at Florida Atlantic, Kennesaw State at number 21 Memphis, and Sam Houston will play at Oklahoma State, while New Mexico State will be facing Arizona State. Tomorrow night, the Lady Raiders of Middle Tennessee will open their regular season. They're coming off a 2-1 exhibition win over Southern Miss. The Lady Raiders will take on Troy with the first touch at 7 o'clock at the Dean Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium. Also on the schedule for Thursday, Liberty will be facing East Carolina, while Western Kentucky will be hosting Missouri. Volleyball, they don't get underway for just a little while, but they have announced their promotional schedule for the upcoming season. Coach Alexa Keckler has an exciting squad coming back. They'll open up their home schedule on Friday, September 11th against Georgia State and Northern Colorado. That will be home opener and 9/11 Remembrance Day. They'll be giving away a team poster. On Saturday, September 12th against Murray State, will be mental health awareness game, and that will also be called the Green Game. On Friday, October 2nd against Delaware, Team Impact Night. They'll be giving away Blue Raider volleyball car magnets, and on Saturday, October 3rd against Delaware, Youth Sports Day, they'll be handing out MTSU volleyball T-shirts. That's it for today. Oh, one final note. The 3 Blue Raiders who were in the U.S. Amateur all got clipped by the cutoff line, and Payne Denman was the closest. He was just one shot away from making the cut up at Marion in Pennsylvania. That's it for today. We'll have another update tomorrow here on WGNS.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, WGNSradio.com, and Big G TV.
That's right. All sports talk here on a Wednesday evening in beautiful Murfreesboro, Tennessee. A hot day in the mid-state, but we hope you're enjoying all sports talk and maybe cooling down from those hot conditions outside. Dylan Simmons and Jacob Burgess joining you here on this Wednesday evening. And Jacob was telling me before the break that he's got a special show that's got a new season dropping tonight. You said Ted Lasso's coming back?
Episode 2 came out today.
Episode 2. Oh, came out today. Okay. I didn't know if they just did one of those mass season drops like a lot of shows do
Nobody
now.
does that anymore. And
Nobody does that anymore?
No. Because, subscription-based viewing used to be they drop a whole new season, and you'd binge watch it in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And now they've gone back to what cable used to do, where they release one every week. Well, what's the point anymore? But yes, Ted Lasso, Episode 2, out today. I'm going home after this to watch it.
Well, not to get off on a tangent on this, and I know this is all sports talk, but this is a sports-related show.
It is.
I don't understand. I'm with you on that. Why is streaming becoming just another TV? Because at that point, why not just have television? The only thing you're changing is the mode by which you get the entertainment.
I don't flip through the channels anymore. On my TV, it's a scroller, and so it has all the little icons, and you go left and right. Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever. Me and my roommates have quite a few of them amongst us, and so we're all logged into each individual whatever one. And you just scroll until you pick the one you want, right? So I'm going to go home, Apple TV, right? Thankfully, my grandma has an account that I'm logged into. Love that. And so I'm going to... But yeah, they release it every week. It comes out on Wednesdays. I want the whole season, though, back.
You're going to watch that whole season, huh?
Or some shows do it to where they release half of it.
Yeah.
And then they release the second half a month later. Which, I don't like that either, actually, now that I think about it.
There's just no good way to do it now.
Just drop a whole season.
Yeah, that would make the most sense if you ask me.
All the episodes are done. They have them. They're just waiting.
Well, that's what streaming was made for, is for binging and binging whole seasons. That makes more sense to me. You know what's one form of entertainment and broadcasting that'll always be there for you? Radio. That's why you need to watch WGNS or listen to WGNS and the Big G here in Murfreesboro. Talking a little bit more about MTSU athletics. We were talking about MTSU soccer before the break and their big 2026. Do you have any final thoughts on this upcoming season, and where do you expect this MTSU soccer team could end up, much like football, if they play at their absolute best going into this new year?
Absolute best, I think, is them making the tournament. Whether or not how far they make, I think making the tournament is a good base level to where you can say, okay, we kept the standard we've had the past 2 years. We didn't make it to the semifinal. We didn't win a game, but we made it to the tournament, and you try to have a competitive first game, I think would be kind of is the level they would want to get to. And then if you can win one, right, make it into the semifinals, maybe make a final, which they haven't done in CUSA yet.
Have done it in the Sun Belt.
They did. Right. They did win the Sun Belt back in 2010.
Yes.
When they knocked off Denver in a shootout. Hosted at Western Kentucky. And they beat Western Kentucky in that tournament too, and also in a shootout the round before.
Man, this man knows his archive stuff.
But if you're able to make it back to the tournament, and whether or not it's one game or 2, 3, however many, have a good tournament appearance, I think that's a good level to get to with this group, considering you have so many new people who are about to start playing real considerable minutes that have a big impact on the final score at the end of the day.
Yeah, and for MTSU soccer, they have Troy in this first matchup coming up tomorrow night. Their next matchup, is it Thursday or or Sunday or the Thursday after that?
It should be the Sunday so let me check. I'm pulling it up right here. Yeah, they go to Southern Indiana in Evansville.
Right.
On Sunday the 16th. And then they have another Thursday, Sunday with UT Martin and West Georgia on the road.
So those are all 3 of those matches are road. So that's going to be a big early stretch for them. I think if they make it out of that, and this is just me spitballing, with a 2-2, 3-1 record with all those early tests, that's going to be a really good sign for this MTSU soccer team. So we talked about season-defining stretches. That very well could be that for this Blue Raider squad. Talking about football, we mentioned their schedule as well a little bit earlier, and some key games that they're going to have throughout the season, not just in Conference USA play, but early on. I said if they were able to get a few of those wins and out of conference play, that would set them up well. I think if you want to contend for a Conference USA championship, though, you got to be able to beat one of those heavyweight CUSA teams. Do you feel as though a win over a team like a Jacksonville State or Liberty could thrust them into CUSA contention? If they're able to get a win like that, could they build the momentum necessary to make a run at that CUSA championship?
I think the Jacksonville State game is interesting just because they go non-con Jacksonville, non-con, then conference schedule. And so if you're able to go into the Jacksonville State game 2-1 or 3-0, it's a really good look. And then if you come out of that with a win, then you're going on the road to Kansas with some momentum. I mean, it's a possibility that they're 4-0 at that point, right, going into Kansas. And then regardless of whether you win or lose Kansas, I think if you, as a team, if you play the type of football you're looking to play, then going into that conference slate, it doesn't get easier, but you know it can work, right? It worked against a big school, and so now you can go do it against conference opponents, and then you can look back at that Jacksonville State game and say, okay, here's what worked at this level, here's what didn't, what can we do to change before they play Delaware?
Yeah, that Jacksonville State game could very well be a nexus point for this MTSU football team. By the way, you can hear all MTSU football games right here on the Big G, WGNS. Those will be coming up starting September 5th when they take on Murray State. Chip Walters, Joe Dubin, the entire crew will be here for you on WGNS. One other sport that's starting up relatively soon, MTSU volleyball, going to have their new season for 2026, and we'll see what Alexa Keckler's squad is capable of. What do you think that this MTSU volleyball team could do, roughly looking at it, with the season coming up next month?
Well, they do spend a good bit of time on the road to start off, and last year going 11-17 overall, but only 3-13 in conference. At the end of the day, your non-con, it's important because you want to stack wins going into conference, but conference games matter.
Right.
And so when you go 3-13 in conference, you want to pick up more wins. And so if they're able to get to, double that, say they get to 6 to 8 wins, that is a good jump from year 1 to 2, because they spend the first, MTSU volleyball does it pretty regularly too. They spend the first almost month on the road.
Right.
They're going to, this year they're going to Asheville, North Carolina for the tournament hosted by UNC Asheville. Then they kind of go on the road. It's to Beaumont. Right? It's natural.
Yeah, not too far.
No, it's
maybe like 30, 45 minutes.
It's an hour with traffic to get
right.
there. But they play Sanford, South Alabama, and Beaumont then. And then they host their own tournament with Murray State, Northern Colorado, and Georgia State. Before, they actually go on the road again. They go back to Connecticut.
Wow.
For the Fairfield one, hosted by Fairfield. And then they get into that conference slate. And so if you're able to carry some momentum into that, I mean, they start off with Liberty. They do have to go play Western Kentucky on the road. That will be that's a tough team to play wherever, whether it's home, away, or neutral. And so a team that consistently makes the tournament and challenges for the conference tournament. And so you just got to see how many wins you can stack together and try to carry some momentum. Because it does seem like some of these non-conference and these out-of-conference tournaments they have, when I started school, at least, they were playing some big-name teams. I mean, They played Mississippi State one year. Last year, they went to Butler a few times. And so you look at some of these other teams, and I'll be honest, I don't know much about Sanford volleyball or South Alabama or Boise State, who they played twice, back-to-back days, actually. 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Against Boise State. I have no clue about Boise State volleyball. I will be honest. But you hopefully start picking up some wins against these teams.
Yeah, if you can set the tone in out of conference, much like soccer, much like football, that sets you up well for the remainder of your season. We're getting close to the end of the show here, Jacob, so I want to make sure we have some time for you to talk about your work at MTSU Sidelines and for MTSU Sports. Of course, a director, so to speak, for both programs. And Sidelines has already been hard at work here in the August month of 2026, getting some stories out, and talk a little bit about a couple of those that are maybe posted on the Sidelines website right now.
So we did just have a Roden 25 story. Obviously, Roden, it's just another year for him. And so it's not the story that you might think, but it is still a good story about the daily operations of what they're doing and how even though 25 years later, they still have the same process. Now, how they do that process and the steps they take might be different than 25 years ago. But they're still trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's in-game, out-of-game, trying to stack those steps. Just had 3 things we learned from Football Media Day story go up by our editor-in-chief, Brett Walker.
Yes.
Now, I will say me and Brett are trying to travel to a lot of the away games.
Okay.
We are figuring that out right now.
Yes.
Now, there's one that we don't think we're going to, and that's FIU on a Tuesday in October.
Ooh, yeah, that's a rough one.
That's
yeah.
a rough one. You know, getting to Miami,
I've been on that flight.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
And we're figuring out whether flying or driving is the best option, and so we've sat down and we've looked at it and we're like, whoa. Okay, who do we know?
Yes.
Like, where can we stay along the way to a lot of these games? And so, I mean, some of the away games, West Virginia for Marshall.
Yes.
Liberty is on the road. Kansas is on the road. Sam Houston in Huntsville, Texas. That's a long drive we figured out.
That's another one. Yep, that's a long one.
Oh, yeah. And so we're looking at it, though, hopefully going to try and get to as many games as possible this year. Definitely all the home ones. Jacksonville State will be an easy one to pull off.
Right.
Because it's only it's like a 2-hour drive.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's nothing long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a day trip for us, you know.
Yes.
But that's one of those games where it's like, that's a 6 p.m. kickoff, over by 9.